Gentlemen, another anatomy video today, and you can absolutely guarantee every time I do an anatomy video on this channel, it is going to be extremely simple, and every single point you are going to be able to action. Every single point that I talk about is going to be really, really good for your future training sessions. Now, my promise, you will leave this video with a better understanding of the muscles and the joints, so you can train more effectively, or you have the knowledge to train more effectively in the future. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Paul Green. Great to have you here. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. Been very fortunate to be working in highly demanding job roles for over a decade, and in which I worked in the gym where I was training these elite individuals and teams. So I've got a very unique perspective on all these matters, on how to train people that are in elite bubble, and how to negate some of the adverse effects that their bodies end up having as a result of such high demanding job roles. So, and I'm also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grappler as well. I've seen similar things across the board with them as well. And nowadays I'm fully online through the longevity program, which is my business, where I coach men over the age of 40 from extreme sporting backgrounds to keep them doing what they love doing for many, many decades to come, regardless of age. Anyway, the plan for this video is I'm just going to touch on the muscles and the muscle fibers, joints and joint functions, how they interlink with each other. I'm going to touch on weightlifting and cardiovascular training, and then we're going to make it relevant to you on your adventure and extreme sporting disciplines and martial arts. Right, so we've touched on my aim. If that sounds like something that you would find useful, then crack on, get comfortable, and just strap in. This video will take 15 minutes tops. If you don't think this will sound useful, I challenge you to stick around and just listen to it anyway, because the moment you think that you know it all is the start of your decline. And this is some of the most useful stuff I know, and I always use this to fall back on when I'm a little bit stuck. I just use this knowledge that I've learned about 3 or 4 years ago to then guide my decisions. This is the foundation of everything I know. This video here. So, right, muscles and muscle fibers. Understand that every muscle has a start point and a finish point. Yeah? And if you want to effectively train that muscle, then you need to bring that start point to its finish point, or vice versa. You need to bring them 2 points together. And what that looks like is this. So we have pectoralis major and muscle emotion, a nerdy channel for all of these graphics. So you have pec muscle attaches to the top of the humerus bone, also attaches to the middle of the sternum. The sternum. Your goal to effectively get a contraction, lengthening and shortening, is to bring the top of the humerus bone across the body. Sounds really simple, this. And it is. Trust me, it's really simple. But when you look at books and when you look at Google, the body is extremely complicated and all this stuff. No, it's not. Just understand there's a start and a finish point to every muscle. Your goal to effectively train that muscle is to bring them 2 points together by doing that. And you get an effective contraction of the chest. If this video sounds laughable because it's that simple, that means that I've done extremely well in making this video simple. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm absolutely struggling with the MacBook because I'm an absolute noob. Right. Next one. The fibers run in the main direction that you should train them. If you do not feel a certain muscle that you intend to train, that you are trying to train, you don't feel the muscle, then you are not doing this. So, what do you do about that? You literally just go on Google and go, what direction do the mid traps go in? And as you can see, the lines are horizontal. So if you are not moving your shoulder blades forwards and backwards, you're not going to feel it ever in the mid traps. And that's just off a Google search. I don't expect you to remember what direction all of these muscle fibers are going. I don't expect you to remember that. Like, how are you going to remember the direction that one of these rotator cuff or subscapularis, whatever it is? I don't even know what it's called. It doesn't matter that I don't know what it's called. I will remember it and I will know it when I need to. Look, the fibres are different there. The fibres are different there. If you want to train the mid-traps, you better be moving your shoulder blades forwards and backwards. Does that make sense? Because in order to lengthen them fibres that are horizontal and then shorten them, they're horizontal. You need to bring your shoulders back. Right. Extremely simple stuff. And you don't need to remember everything. You just need to have the ability to go on Google and know what you're searching for. Asking the right questions. Like I said there, Google it. So that's muscles, muscle fibres. Each muscle has an insertion point and an origin point. That might be attached to the bone. They'll have a tendon that attaches. Anyway, I'll go on to tendons and ligaments in a sec. Fucking hell, waffling. Right. Joints, joint functions. Elbow and knee are the same. Look on Google. It'll say, oh, the joints are very complicated. No, they're not. The joint does this. Up and down. Extension, flexion. The ligaments restrict any unwanted movement of the joint. So they basically stop the joint going left and right and hyperextending and I don't know, going weird when you flex it too much. On both of them joints, pair them together. Make it easy for yourself. The elbow and the knee are the same. Hip and shoulder are very similar. Both ball and socket joints. Both hinge joints, both ball and socket joints. The spine is a very untrained part of the body because of fear. Oh, it's got loads of nerves near it. Oh my God, the risk of slip discs and bulge, whatever. Untrained. Spine flexes like this. It extends and it laterally flexes. Spine moves a lot, but we don't train it a lot, do we? Anyway, the knee is the most injured joint in the body. Why do you think the knee is the most injured joint in the body? Leave a comment on why you think that is the most commonly injured joint in the body. Because I'll be very interested to see what you've come up with. So how they interlink with each other. Tendons attach muscle to bone. So at the end of a tendon is a muscle. By training that muscle, you indirectly get that tendon stronger. If you've got a weak tendon or tendonitis, how do you get that tendon stronger? By training the muscle it's attached to. It's crazy how simple this is. Ligaments attach bone to bone. They restrict movement. How do you train ligaments? You strategically apply forces that challenge that restriction, that restrictive movement. So strategically oppose that restriction. That will make the ligament stronger. You cannot train a muscle without indirectly training a nearby tendon or ligament. So what does that say? What should you be doing more of if you have weak tendons and ligaments? One thing that goes overlooked is the importance of acknowledging blood flow. Now, firstly, before I even touch on this, anti-inflammatories reduce blood flow. Get them out of your life. They are not effective. They are not good. The only thing that they are good for is you entering the pharmaceutical rat race. Oops. Muscles have a greater blood flow than tendons and ligaments. I'm sure you know that already. But that doesn't mean tendons and ligaments have poor blood flow. Some do. Hopefully you don't get them injured because it takes ages to get rid of them. Get rid of them issues. But it still gets stronger. Ligaments have better blood flow than others, meaning they get stronger faster than other ligaments. For example, your MCL, right, your medial collateral ligament on the inside of your knee, has extremely high blood flow. And when it goes, or when it gets tweaked, it is extremely painful. Extreme pain means extremely high blood flow, which means a lot of swelling, which means it's going to recover quicker. Now, if it was the other one, your LCL on the outside, not very painful. If it's not very painful, it's going to take longer to recover, repair, regenerate, get stronger. I've repeated myself there, but not to worry. If you're injured and you're in a lot of pain, that is a good thing. Because the worst injuries are the ones that It's a little bit painful. It's just there in the background. It's not that painful, but it's noticeable. They are the hardest ones to deal with. But if there's a lot of pain, that means there's a lot of blood flow, there's a lot of inflammation. The body's already at it, trying to recover and repair from this issue. So bear that in mind. Muscles will recover and get stronger faster. Ligaments and tendons are slower, but they will still get stronger. So this links in, obviously, to how you strategically apply force through the muscles and joints to get to your goals to improve your performance. Weightlifting and cardiovascular training. These are highly physiological. You're following a training plan, you're following a meal plan, and there's strict rules to follow within a weightlifting training program, and there's either strict rules to follow in a cardiovascular training plan. You are investing in yourself, in your future self, highly logical and extremely low risk. The reason I say they're low risk is because there is a lot of variables in which you have full control over. You have full control over how much food you've eaten that day. You try your hardest to sleep a decent amount. You are in a gym where you are in control of how fast you do every repetition. You're in control of how much weight you lift, how many reps you do, how many sets you do, which exercises you do. And it's the same with cardiovascular training. You are in control of the pace in which you are running, the distance. It's all muscles. Cardiovascular, cardiac muscle is a muscle. Your lungs, your digestive, everything. It's all smooth muscles. Can be trained, and you strategically can increase the amount of stress that you put on these things to get ridiculously strong over time. Highly physiological. Logical. Low risk because you are in control of all the variables. And one of the difficulties I have on the longevity program is convincing men that are doing free running, doing skydiving, doing martial arts to remove themselves out of a highly psychological endeavour to then come back into the gym and be at peace with 1 hour, 90 minutes of just developing their muscles without any of the extra problem solving. That's one of the difficulties I have, and that's why there's a lot of injured men in these realms and people that don't strength train. So we get on to the adventure and the extreme sports disciplines. Highly psychological. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of a crossover physiologically. There's going to be a lot of extreme demands on the body as well. But let's be honest. The reason we love these things so much, the reason we love rock climbing, the reason we love mountain biking is because of this. It's an expression of our skills, our techniques that we develop. It's more random. There's more risk. It allows us to be creative. You know, after we've fully warmed up, if we're experienced enough in that discipline, we can actually be in that flow state where we're just absolutely smashing it. We feel amazing technically. We're just doing stuff that we never thought we'd be able to do in that session. Highly emotional, stress management and risk management. The opposite side of the coin, right? And obviously this is going to be more enjoyable. Proper taps into all of our hormones. And obviously the other one is going to be less enjoyable, but the other one's probably more physiologically beneficial, especially for your longevity. Anyway, the reason it's so awesome, in my opinion, is that there's a lot of variables at play that are not in our control. There's a lot of, if you're on the rock climbing wall, there is a loose rock, and you have to react within a millisecond to solve that problem, or you're going. Mountain biking, you may skid out, or there might be somebody in front of you, or there might be a walker coming up the trail, and you just have to react. There's always the element of mental craziness that is going to throw you off, and that's why we love it. Absolutely love it. Like, we might nearly fall off, and what do we do about that? How do we manage the stress to get the problem solved? And obviously there's a crossover. When we start really pushing ourselves psychologically, there's going to be high demands on the body as well. But this is the challenge. The real challenge is getting these men to be at peace and do the gym sessions that aren't as fun, that aren't as rich in problem solving. decision making, stress management, risk management. It's a real challenge. However, it is my full-time job, and I absolutely love it because I see the fruits of that. So hopefully you appreciate the differences and the importance each has, right? The longevity program basically wants to continue this highly psychological for as long as possible, because the neural net, our processor, we want that to be as sharp as possible in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? Because if it is, we're not going to get all these neurological diseases. They're going to be so low risk because we're using our brain ridiculously. We're using it frequently to problem solve at crazy rates. But however, to do this, we need to do this. However, it's difficult. Of course it's difficult. Gentlemen, my promise to you at the start of the video was you will leave with a better understanding of the muscles and joints so that you can train more effectively. If I've stood by that promise, if I've delivered on that promise, then absolutely subscribe to this channel, because every day I am posting videos like this. Thank you very much for your time. I failed on the promise for it to be 15 minutes. You got an extra minute and a half of benefit. Hopefully you appreciate that. Hopefully that gets a like out of you. Remember what I said earlier on. Both sides of the coin. Physiological, psychological. Train them separately, and that will massively improve your longevity in all of these disciplines. See you tomorrow.